First things first, I'm coming at you with the shit. This is now a hard deadline. Check-ins, 9 a.m. Friday morning. It's a hard deadline because the amount of messages Kat and I got, like well into like, can I do it on Saturday? I've not been able to make it for any reason, or do you know what I mean? And it was like going on and on and on and on. And there were so many. But the problem is, we need to know by 9 a.m. on Friday how we're actually working our day. Do you know? It's like trying to organize an event, as an example, and you go, right, this is how many women, or a wedding, this is how many people are attending. And then you get someone going, oh, but could I just bring a plus one now? No, you weren't dating back then. No, you can't. It's that kind of, we need to be able to manage our time effectively to make sure that everybody who does hit the deadline deserves a check-in feedback. It is deliberately open for like the best part of 30 hours. From any point from Thursday, you can literally do it from, I wouldn't recommend it, but you could do it from 1 minute past midnight on Thursday all the way through to 9 a.m. on a Friday morning. There is a huge window. So if you know you've got something happening on a Friday morning that could derail you, do it the day before. Do you know what I mean? And I know that might feel like it shortens your week if you normally do it on a Friday. And the other thing I will say is you can still check in beyond 9 o'clock on a Friday. It's an internal hard deadline, but the app will still allow it. But the consideration here is that you will be forfeiting the right to that feedback for that week. So you can still do it. So some of you guys might be like, right, I'm on holiday, I am 4 hours ahead, behind, whatever. Again, you could do it thoroughly in time for the UK deadline, or you can just do it whenever you choose and go, right, okay, I don't actually need the feedback this week. I'll just do it whenever. So that's a consideration. But if you want guaranteed feedback over the course of the weekend in time for the new week, that is an internal hard deadline that I am setting the rule on now, because it's also my job to make sure that Coach Kat is being able to do her job. I can do mine. Do you know what I mean? So it sounds a bit shitty. But the amount of them at the weekend, I was like, no, like we've got to bring this up. But I genuinely think we're being fair. So that's the first thing I want to say. Right, now into the more fun stuff. Oh, hang on. Oh, we're going into the second slide. So first slide, I mean, it was just the title slide anyway, which I've already said. So, first things first, Claire, massive congratulations. She is now officially an engaged woman. She is off the market, which is exciting. And we love it when you guys share your lives with us, like genuinely. We always want this to feel like we are people that you can turn to with the highs, the lows, everything in between. So, congratulations, Claire. That is an incredible achievement. We've also got Sam and Michelle, who have officially lost their first half stone within the first however number of weeks, but it is weeks inside of the program, which again is amazing. There are loads of you, and in my stories, and I'm trying to like share so everybody, but it's hard. There's so many, but the wins are incredible. Again, the check-ins phenomenal. So this it's amazing. Obviously, it's what we obviously want to be able to achieve. But outside of that, we've also got Louise, who has just had a promotion at work, which is incredible. And we've also had Helen. Now, this was a really interesting one because Helen knew where she was, they were not seeing her self-worth. And she's obviously going through this journey where she is seeing her self-worth and feeling like her employers were just not getting it. So I was a bit like, it might be time. Genuinely go on the hunt and see what you could do. And an interview a couple of weeks ago, and then she found out she got the job. So congratulations, Helen, and the same to Louise for going, even having the confidence to go for a promotion takes a lot of like internal strength. So congratulations to all of these incredible wins. So I want to start. So let me get my chat box up. Let's bring you up. Oh, it's right in the middle of the screen. I don't know if you guys see the chat box or not when I record this, but that's unhelpfully right in the middle of the screen. So how many calories do you guys put it in the chat box? How many do you believe are in a McDonald's Big Mac and large fries? Now, this is probably something that you've all eaten from time to time. So what would be your guess? Pop it in the chat. 900, 1300, 1950, 1000, 1200, 750 burger, 500 for fries. I can't remember if I've broken it down. I don't think I have by broken it down by fries and burger. 1500. Let's have a look. Oh, now I've put my chat box over the bloody cursor. Helpful. So 953. So it's not crazy. It's not like, whoa, holy shit amount, but it's still high for what it is. And if you consider that that would just be for one meal, in your allowance of the day, then obviously that is an enormous proportion of calories taken up inside of that. Now, obviously, that is a large one as well, but you're not going to chop a lot out of that with smaller fries, for instance. So, how many calories do you think are in a Burger King's double Whopper with large fries? I think that is a double Whopper with bacon in as well. What I've done it off. I don't know if bacon comes in as mandatory. I'll be honest. Burger King is not my jam. So 1,000, 1,100, 1,200, 1,300, 1,450, 1,100, 1,200, 1,200. A lot of you guys feeling about the same. And the interesting thing is, I think a lot of you do feel like this probably is higher than a McDonald's, and you would be right. So you weren't far off with those guesses, to be fair. Never eaten a Burger King. I'll be honest, I can probably count on less than my left hand's fingers how many Burger Kings I've ever eaten. Um, I remember once, I think, going to a kids' party there, when you get the crown. I think one time I'd ever done that, but that was obviously quite a thing back in like my generation. That's literally where children would send, parents would send their children, which is a great vibe, isn't it? So, yeah, basically the best part of 1,300 calories. Now, for a lot of you guys, that might even be an enormous proportion of your entire daily intake in just one burger and fries. And now, one thing I would say, I actually did have a Burger King. I remember going for a Burger King at the airport when I went to Belfast, and it was a fucking shit show. It was an absolute shit show. I couldn't get into the car park of the airport because we've got a 3D number plate, which obviously is not legal, but I don't do car things. That's a Thomas issue. So I couldn't get into the airport. Actually drove to the wrong terminal. So I was like, oh my God, I don't even know where my flight's coming from. And yeah, and couldn't obviously get in because it was the wrong terminal. So ended up like in Burger King. Now I couldn't eat the whole thing because I actually did feel like there is a lot of food here. My anxiety was also through the roof, but still very, very high calories, and occasionally it is a bit of a needs must, but there are definitely smarter ways to do it. And that's kind of a little bit of my view on things like a Burger King and McDonald's. I think it is like we had a McDonald's when I did share this. A lot of you will have been in the program while it happened, but we were going to watch the Elton John concert, and we found a stray dog on our street right as we were about to leave, when we would have had time to go into a proper food eatery place. And then we ended up trying to find the owner to this stray dog, delayed the entire thing. We had about 10 minutes to eat before that concert. So we did end up in McDonald's. And I think they do serve a purpose every now and again where you are in a crunch and there isn't a lot you can do about it. But if you are in a position to be able to make a fake away from home, I am massively of the opinion. I think far too many people in the UK have a weekly takeaway. I don't really know where this habit comes from because everybody claims they're skint and they've got no money. Like, even to me, the fact that you can Klarna a Just Eat, I'm like, if you can't afford the Just Eat, you probably shouldn't be fucking Klarnering it. Do you know what I mean? Like, go to the store and actually buy something. But anyway, I digress. But this is it, that concept of a weekly takeaway. I can almost categorically tell you. And I think it partly comes from the coaching of a cheat meal, a cheat day. Now, those of you who have been in the program a little while longer, you will know we coach refeed days. They are not a cheat day. The two are not one and the same. I'm not going to get into that because you'll know it when you're ready to be told about it. And given the months we're in, a lot of you have been going on holiday, different things, so we haven't needed to implement it yet for some of you. But the concept of a cheat day is almost you can smash as many calories as you want that one day a week. This is what a lot of like the fad diet industry will teach you. It's total bollocks because you can undo your entire deficit in one day very, very easily. And then, shock horror, you're not going to get the results you're looking for. But you can easily make some decent switches. Now, I am using Aldi purely because it is where I shop. Other supermarkets, other brands are available. I'm not affiliated or aligned to them in any way. I just like a lot of their protein options. I quite like the price. As long as you dig to the back of the shelves and you actually get the meat and fresher items, that's the only one trick I would say with Aldi. You don't want to buy the stuff that's at the front because it goes off in literally one day. It's not ideal. But you can get two skinny burgers, you're going to absolutely smash your protein. I mean, you could have one. I'm just pairing it off with the double Whopper and the double quarter pounder, whatever that McDonald's version was. But this is it, 274 calories for two low fat burgers. The reason they are like low in calories is because they are lower in fat. It is literally the fat that's coming out of the beef of why they are getting the calories a lot lower. You're not going to get that from a takeaway. You're not going to get it from McDonald's, from Burger King. The fat is staying in. They want the fat in there. You can then get burger thins. Again, most of the supermarkets will do some version of a thin, but Aldi definitely do the burger thins. And I'm a bit of a believer in you choose your carb and you commit to your one carbohydrate. If you are doubling up on your carbs, again, you're probably going to make that meal a lot higher in calories than it needs to be. So you could commit to your bun and your burger, or you do what I do and I strip the bun all together and I would just have the burger and I would have the chips. That would be my way when I'm in a calorie deficit. That's my personal choice. Salad, fill your fucking boots. Do you know what I mean? There's hardly any calories in things like lettuce, cucumber, tomatoes, a bit of onion. If you want a bit of gherkin on there, a bit of pickle, gherkins, one of the lowest calorie snacks. If you're a weirdo like me and you can eat them out of the jar, crack on. It's about 4 calories for a giant gherkin. So great option. Again, to put on your burger. Feels a little bit naughty and it most definitely isn't. Make sure you're tracking your condiments. But again, you're likely, if you're buying your condiments the right way, but there is a right and a wrong, definitely done a training on that. I'm pretty sure you can find it on my Instagram. If you're buying your calories right, you can do that meal on around either 430 calories or 526. That is the exact macros, roughly, depending on your condiments and a little bit of salad in there. Do you know what I mean? But again, this is the kind of dish for me. Pack your fucking salad in. That is going to leave you feeling fuller. It's going to make your plate look a lot more satisfying. It's going to like give you a wider spread of what you've actually got available on that plate. Fish and chips from a chip shop. How many calories are we saying, ladies? I've lost my chat box. Here it is. How many calories? Da, 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 gherkin lover. Out of the jar, yeah, same. Got no self-control. I'm not the only one. 1500, 1300, 700. 700's ambitious. I mean, it depends obviously on the size, the portion, whether you get. I feel like people call them different things across the country. I would call them scraps. People call them bits, whatever. 1500, 1350. So the reality is, with any takeaway option, we will never know. We will never, ever know. And this is only ever then a guesstimation. And again, guesstimating is pretty challenging to do if you really want to remain in a calorie deficit, which is also why doing a fakeaway over going to a takeaway is going to make your life significantly easier. Not in terms of the fact that you're going to have to cook it, but in terms of the fact that you know you are actually in alignment to your goals. But roughly 1,200 calories. But again, how big's the fish? How much batter is on it? What's it actually fried in? Because every fish and chips will be slightly different. How big is your portion? Small size peas, like large peas. How long is a piece of string? Is the God's honest truth. Now, I actually went to the supermarket to buy a lot of this stuff today, and then I realized I don't know why I don't just use photos. And I was like, absolute potato. But we do eat this. I really like the beer battered cod fillets from Aldi. Genuinely, really like them. And we would probably have this every other week. Now, consideration here is, and I am back in a cut now. We go to Abu Dhabi in about 6 weeks' time. So I am back in a cut. July, I had too much of a social life. It was just never going to happen. No control over what I could have at the weekends. You can't take your own food into festivals. Just wasn't going to happen. But 331 calories, it's a nice sized piece of fish, and I think it is genuinely tasty air fried. You still get that feeling as if you've got a bit of battered fish. But again, you could go for without the batter because you are in a position of double carb loading at that point because that's what the batter will end up becoming. Same if you go for a breaded fish, you could quite easily strip that out. That's entirely up to you whether or not you want the batter on the fish or not. 150 grams of chips. Now, you probably can find lower calorie chips. I know this was a conversation I think Gemma asked in the chat the other week. You could even make your own potatoes in the air fryer. Again, 100% control the calories that are going in. Mushy peas, half a tin, 112 calories. Not bad. Again, you could switch those out if you just wanted to have peas and not make them mushy. But I'm trying to show you a slightly more like for like, but 731 calories. So if you were to do a little bit of calorie banking, most of you would easily be able to get that within your macros. It would, like, do you know what I mean? And you are going to hit some nice macros with that. So it's certainly an option. I personally don't put condiments onto my fish chips. The mushy peas do that job for me. I like a bit of wet. They're coming to the party with that. But again, allow for the fact if you do like ketchup, whatever, ugh, can't think of anything worse, but I do douse mine in salt and vinegar. Right, how many calories in a medium Domino's Texas barbecue pizza? So this one actually came up with Kat today because her children wanted it over the weekend. Where has my chat box gone? There you go. 2,500 celiac chips as well, works well, low calorie. 1,100, 2,300, a million, 1,800, 1,500, 1,800, 2,200. So that was a harder one, I feel like. Everyone's kind of guessing, like it's a bit broader brush. Now, again, I could probably count maybe 3 times in my life where I've actually had a Domino's. I feel like you need the vouchers if you're going to make it work. But there you go, nearly 1,750 calories. Most of you guys would struggle to have that within your daily allowance. You might get it in, but that would be it. Do you know what I mean? Or it might even push you over just as that on its own. And it's not a gigantic pizza, it's a medium-sized pizza. For context, like, because I do know one of you that does do this, I did look at the Morrison's self-made pizzas, higher calories than this. So if you go into Morrison's, buy one of the ones where you select your base and then your sauce and then everything else that goes on top, you are probably way, even if you're not eating the whole thing, because those things are enormous, but they are extremely high in calories. But also, again, they're just guesstimating the ingredients they're putting on. So you're never going to know the true calories that actually go into this. So an Aldi version, again, you'll get this anywhere. Any supermarket will do a standard, slightly thinner crust pizza, so 784 calories. You don't have to eat the whole thing either. Thomas and I shared a pizza the other week, which was one of these. Like, we did actually have one each, but I just kept back a few slices, just literally kept them back for the next day, and I filled the entire other part of the plate with as much salad as I could possibly get onto my plate. So again, utilizing salad to make sure that you are bumping up the feeling of actually having more on your plate. But do a DIY. DIY, oh my God, I've had a really long day. Mondays are so long. I can't even comprehend how long my Mondays are. It's like a serious 12 to 14-hour day for me just getting through a Monday. DIY, do it to yourself, low calorie pizza. I also think if you've got children and you are not utilizing this, then you are missing a trick because children love to get involved with things like cooking, and especially if you're doing a fakeaway where you've got a bit more time at the weekend, maybe Friday night, Saturday night, that kind of thing. Get them involved. Do you know what I mean? And all I'm talking about is buying a wrap where you get a pack of wraps. Do you know what I mean? And you could even buy, if your children want the actual pizza bases, get them the pizza bases. You get yourself a wrap, put a little bit of passata sauce over it. Again, mega easy to actually build this out. Buy some of the boxes of, I don't know, whatever meat you want, whether you want some like a chicken sausage on yours, whether you want chicken, whether you want anchovies, like whatever the fuck you put on your pizza. I know some people do put tuna on a pizza, and I find that really bizarre personally, but I'm not here to judge. But a little bit of cheese, low fat cheese, reduced fat mozzarella if you like a creamier kind of version. Put your meats on, load of veg. Again, you can chuck that veg on like this photo shows. You can get that in there. You can also build out a side salad with this kind of thing as well. Do you know, like, again, you will be able to do this around the 500 calorie marker. And it is going to feel like you are getting a pizza in there. And it feels a bit naughty. It feels a bit like, oh, this is cheeky. And actually, it's just a low calorie option. Do you know what I mean? You're just getting a bit more creative with how you're actually building that out. So a chicken kebab and cheesy chips from the takeaway, how many calories do we think this is? So people making their own, doing the DIY pizza freak. I love it. I honestly think it's a great option. So 3,000, way too much. 1,500, 1,200, 1,750. Costco do lovely Italian pizza bases, 275 calories for half. They're huge. This is it. And if you're tracking your toppings, you can make it within your allowance. So 2,400, 1,600, 1,500, 1,200. So again, like that was quite a broad one again, where people are just not entirely sure. So around now, again, the reality is we're never going to know, but the kebab on its own, roughly 800 to 1,000 calories. It is going to depend on what sauce you have, what they put on it, whether you have like a naan bread with it or a pita bread with it, how much they actually do you go for a small, a large? All of these questions come into play. Cheesy chips likely to be around 650 to 850 calories. Now, I feel like this one might actually be conservative. I think there is every possibility of this being way higher by the time it's all deep fat fried. Do you know what I mean? The grease, you see it, you know it, like it sits there, doesn't it? So anywhere around the 1,500 to 1,850 kind of level. So it is quite a high option. Now, again, you might take away the cheesy chips and commit just to the kebab, but it's still on the higher side. So I absolutely love making our own chicken gyros style. So it is basically a bit of a kebab. So using an Aldi high protein flatbread. Now, I don't know whether other supermarkets do the high protein flatbreads. I genuinely have no idea, but they are a great option from Aldi. Grilled chicken breast, you're going to be able to control exactly what you do with that. You can marinate it the day before. Do you know what I mean? Get all of that flavor into there. Or you can just put some flavoring on it if there's something that you like, a certain herb, a certain spice. 0% fat Greek yogurt used as a healthier tzatziki base. Do you know what I mean? That is, you're going to bring the calories down. I mean, I don't think tzatziki is particularly high in calories. If you wanted to still be a bit lazy and go a little shot, but salsa, also extremely low in calories because it's essentially made with tomatoes. All of these different things you could easily put into it. Cucumber, garlic, lemon, red onion, tomato, lettuce. Again, pack it out with your protein and pack it out with your salad. you have immediately got an under 500 calorie, great filling option there. And it is going to pack you out. Feels a bit naughty, but you know the ingredients are actually quite tasty. You can taste that with a gyros. So definitely highly recommend those. Now, a couple of others, things like I think Chinese, depending on what you have, could be a bit harder. But if you like noodles, it's essentially a stir fry, isn't it? Right? Do you know what I mean? I didn't put it in at this point, but you could easily just make a really nice, like beef or whatever meat of your choice that you want to go with it, really. But you can make a nice stir fry, get the right sauce, soy sauce, get the right flavorings in it. And again, it's hugely packed out with vegetables, but it's one, not going to come at the cost of a Chinese, and two, you know the ingredients are going to be quite wholesome. Like you know they are. I think Chinese is one of the higher calorie options. Indian food, again, huge amount of oils cooked inside Indian foods. This is where I think the inspiration came from actually. I just used a what's it called? BBC Good Foods recipe, and on Sunday I cleaned the entire house top to bottom. I fucking hate my life when that's happening. I'm not gonna lie, that's not for me. The cleaner sacked us. I need to find a new one because I can't think of anything worse in order to spend my time. Some people love cleaning. It will never be my life. But felt good after I'd done it, got some really good steps in. But what I did before I went on my major house clean, I set up the slow cooker. All I did was sear off some beef and then chopped up an onion, chucked that in the slow cooker with like, I think it was some medium curry powder, some garlic, some ginger, and I just buy the ones where you just get it out of the jar really easily. I'm not messing around with cutting up a garlic and any of that. Whatever else in there, I can't actually remember. Put it in the slow cooker. Oh, sorry, tomatoes and low calorie, what's the word? Coconut milk. Literally put those in and left it for 6 hours, came back. Absolutely incredible dinner. We did share a high protein. So instead of having a naan bread, a high protein Aldi flatbread, that's what we put with it, and half a bag of rice. Now, Thomas has a full bag. I have half a bag of the basmati. You chuck it in the microwave, away you go. Under 500 calories, a homemade curry that is absolutely delicious. Definitely chop up some coriander to put it on top. 10 out of 10. Highly recommend, but incredible. Took me less than 5 minutes to prep that, less than 5 minutes at the end to do the flatbread and the rice, chop up a bit of coriander, and away we went. And the other thing I did do, I did tender stem broccoli, boiled off the broccoli. Again, it only takes 5 minutes, and then put a chunk of broccoli with both of our curries. That's what I did to make sure that I'm still hitting my fiber. I'm still making sure that I am packing out some vegetables, even if I am making a homemade fakeaway. So that's kind of key to a lot of this, just making sure that you are still. Again, if you order from the takeaway, you're not going to be thinking about the salad. You're not going to be thinking about the veggies. But when you do it from home, you can be more consciously aware of what you're actually adding to the food. Now, I just wanted to finish on this one. So, I guess the calories of a three-course Miller and Carter's meal. So, we have a chicken chipotle starter, which, as you can see for the photo, it's not particularly big. Bourbon chicken, so half a chicken inside. I did include, I don't actually know whether you would get the wedge with this meal, but the ribs were just, they were about on par with the bourbon chicken, so you could pretend it's ribs as well if you prefer. A brownie for dessert. What are we saying? So I can't work out if these are the old ones or the new ones. Let's just assume. So 3,300, 1,900, 2,800. So again, quite varied. So anywhere between 2,000 really and kind of 3,500 at the top end. Now I know this one because I remember I went to Miller and Carter's in my first ever cut, and I was like, shit me. Why did nobody tell us the calories were this high? And I was using a refeed day, and I was like, there is no way on God's green earth that I can ever make up the calories for a three-course Miller and Carter's meal. And I was ready to chew my arm off at this point because I was really going in on calorie banking for this day. And I was like, Jesus Christ, it's not even worth it. So the Chipotle starter, 650 calories for the sake of argument. The chicken sides, over 1,000 calories. The wedge salad, 700 calories. So this is the point when you think you're having a salad, guys. Easily 700 calories. Now the wedges they are doused in everything when you go to Miller and Carter's. Brownie for dessert, nearly 1,000 calories. Now I think you can guess when you go to Miller and Carter's if you've ever had a brownie, you immediately put it, and it's a fucking taste sensation. That's one thing. I hate Miller and Carter's. Absolutely detest the place. And I know I'm in a minority, but I just think it's a very expensive version of a Weatherspoons. I don't like the food. I don't like the staff. I've never had a good experience, and we always end up sending it back. But I do like their brownie. That is one thing I will give them. That is a 1,000 calorie brownie. The moment that thing touches your lips, you know you're in trouble. And that doesn't include any cocktails. It doesn't include any alcoholic beverages, which, let's be honest, most people will be doing. You can easily smash 4,000 calories when you go out for dinner. Miller and Carter is one of the few restaurants that will actually be fully transparent across the menu. This will be the case in a lot of different restaurants, and you just don't know it's happening. Now, I want to make my position on this very clear. I am not under any circumstances saying you do not go out and enjoy yourself sometimes, that you do not celebrate birthdays by going to Miller and Carter's or whatever restaurant you want to go to. I'm not saying don't celebrate like Claire's engagement. I'm not saying don't, do you know what I mean? All of these different things, there are times when we absolutely just have to accept that we may not hit our goals from time to time, and that is absolutely fine. Calorie banking is one option where you just bring in some of the calories back for the entire week and then you can expend them on that particular session. However, same goes for takeaways. Like I say, from time to time, we're all human. We're going to smash a takeaway, and I'm not going to sit here on a high horse and say that I never do that because I do, and I would be lying to you if I suggested otherwise, and I am not a liar. However, if you are going to sit there in your check-in and say you're going out for meals every single weekend, if you're going to sit and say you are constantly ordering in takeaways, like we've had it where people order 3 takeaways a week, and I'm like, I can't explain it any clearer. You will not reach your fat loss goals if you are doing that. This is where we need to work smarter, not harder. Think in advance, prepare what you can have, start getting really savvy with actually trying to see. Mexican's another one you can easily, I mean, I would never occasionally, I might have a quesadilla out, but again, I prefer mine to anyone else cooking them. Like, I think Mexican is really easy to make from home. You can make a chili con carne from home. Even I love a 5 bean chili. It's one of the vegetarian meals or vegan meals that I would definitely absolutely smash. I quite happily eat fajita wraps like chicken. There's a naked burrito, like all of these kind of things you can easily make yourself. A lot of you guys have been in the program when I've made like the naked burrito bowls and shown you exactly what I've had on my plate. Like you can do all of that. Just get really clever about how you're doing it and really think about where your protein's coming from. Try not to double carb load if you can avoid it. So choose your vice depending on what that means for you. And again, consider alcohol. If you are going out for dinner, you might want to think about sharing a starter and a dessert with somebody else. You might want to think about having either a starter or a dessert and potentially not both. Alcoholic beverages, you might want to decide, right, okay, I'm not drinking tonight. I'm going to have my calories through food. Or you might choose to go for your clear spirits with a low calorie mixer, but just accepting that, you know what, celebrating this thing is more important to me, or having this date night with my partner is more important to me. And that's fine as long as you're honest and as long as you know in advance and you're making an actual decision. That's where we absolutely back that and go, that's absolutely fine. We know this week isn't going to look the way that we might want it to. I was just bring it up. My partner and I have resorted to buying fillet steaks and veg if we fancy a takeaway that week. Yeah, we had steak. When did we have steak? Friday? Saturday. Yeah, we had steak on Saturday. And again, steak, great option. Do you know what I mean? Like if you're going for a leaner steak, absolutely fantastic. Thomas had a right tantrum because I wanted to make potatoes. He wanted chips. So I made me potatoes and I made him chips. So do you know what I mean? You've got to pick your battles. And then what I do, and I absolutely love this, chop up a load of mushrooms, chop up, no, I don't chop them up, baby tomatoes, the ones you pick off the vine, because I am a tomato snob. You won't find me buying cheap tomatoes. They've got to be right. They've got to be juicy and flavoursome. I put those into like a bake tray in the oven. And then I put balsamic vinegar over the lot, like just drizzle it over. And then I put garlic over it all as well. Ooh, fucking delicious. It almost tastes like a red wine jus. It's that kind of like, it's really rich, really flavoursome, really fucking low in calories. And then you've got whatever broccoli or whatever side you want to put with it, but it's a great option. Very quick to volunteer to be designated driver. Yeah, I am usually the designated driver. I don't get much enjoyment from alcohol. But equally, I also think there's something quite empowering about not necessarily having to be the designated driver and still choosing not to drink. And I think it was Joe. I think I was reading through her message over the weekend where she wasn't drinking, had a fucking fantastic time. And this is it. It's about having the confidence to still be bubbly, fun, outgoing, even if you don't have alcohol in your system. So, again, it's just about choosing what works for you. We made healthy fajitas for the family that were visiting, lots of chicken and veg, and everyone was happy, especially me for the calories. This is it again. And also, if you're doing a big kind of family dish like that, you can still put on all of the extras and you can just choose what you're going to put on your plate. So it doesn't mean, like Thomas, he wanted chips with his steak. I wanted potatoes. I just thought, you know what? Like, there's no point in, like, he was getting real tantrum about it, but I knew he was hungry. And I get it because I get hungry also. But I just thought, you know what? I've got two sides of the air fryer available. I'm not using it for anything else. I will do my potatoes and he can have his chips. Like, there's no issues, no dramas in doing that. And then everybody's getting what they want. And he's not in a cut. I am, poor sob. He's not getting as many calories as he used to, and he's not that asked about cutting at the minute. Agreed, Ari. The tomatoes, cheap tomatoes are rank. Yeah, I can't do it. I can't do it. You should be able to smell a tomato, and if you can't smell it, it's no good. Put it back. I'd rather eat my calories than drink them. 1000%. You're in good company over here. That is definitely my way. But I will pick my moments if I want to drink. Yes, it was me, the drunkest sober person in the room. This is it. It's just about like having a good time under the circumstances. Like again, I do think in the UK, probably in lots of other places of the world, it's just where we are. We do have a bit of a tendency to binge drink, and sometimes we have to start asking the questions why we become a different person when we're drunk, when actually we can find it in ourselves to be fun and have a good time even when we're sober. We don't have to have a drink to do that. Right, I'm pretty sure that's it. So, any questions? So, I did see the wave load phase, which always confuses the fuck out of everyone. Sorry, I've gone really dark. Which is, and one thing I will say, so there is always a program overview. This is going to be a really terrible example because I have actually built my own program for this phase, which I never put into the app, but I actually decided I would. So let me go to a different one because mine won't have an overview because I don't need one. That's also a terrible example of one. I'm sure I've got one more on this one. Yeah, so there is at the very top of your app. So if you're in, where's the thing? If you go into it, here it will say tap for program overview. Now, I will always try and write a piece in there about it, but what throws people off, usually in your first phase, I'll put it in the notes at the bottom. And then as you start going forwards, because everyone always misses it, I will put it in the program overview. So I will do my best to remember to think like a new person when you're coming in and getting your head around it. I don't always get it right. Full transparency. Sometimes I might overlook something that you're thinking. If it's a single leg exercise, and it in that example, the wave load. So yes, so it's 6 reps on each leg. Then it would be, what is it? I'm trying to think what it is. I think no, it would go 8, 6, 4, 6, 8. So it'd be 6 reps in your first set, and you do it on each side. If it's a double leg exercise or single leg exercise, sorry, then it would be like 6 reps on your second set, do the same again, then 4. And the idea is you increase the load as the reps are decreasing. So you're trying to hit some PBs there, because when we're only down at 4 reps, that's when we're in, ideally we want to increase the load. And then for your final set of 6 and 8, you want to try and beat your first set of 6 and 8 with the weight. That's the goal, to try and see if you can beat it, and then obviously keep beating it each week. Now, if you've got adjustable dumbbells from home and you think that's an absolute fucking arsehole and it's going to take too long, get through it, do what you've got to do. I would still try and hit some PBs at the lower reps. But if you find it's too tricky to adjust the weights all the way through, or you're a little bit time poorer and there's 5 sets, again, you might choose to shorten it, drop a set off, something like that. But it's no different adjusting adjustable dumbbells from home as it is me scrambling my way around the gym like I was doing the leg press this morning. I start with a 25 on each side, then I'll go and find the 10s, then I'll go and find the 5s, then I'll go and find the 2.5s, then I'll go and find the 1.25s. I'm doing that in my rest in the same way that somebody working out from home with adjustable dumbbells would be changing the weights. It does not matter where you're training from, you're not going to stick to the same weights all of the time forevermore. So you're always going to have to start hunting your way around or adjusting weights. That's just the nature of training and what we do. Where was the tempo question? Tempo 2010. So I'm going to pretend I'm doing an RDL. This is my RDL. I am in pajamas, by the way, so ignore my bottom half. So I don't think you can really see me that well, to be honest. I'll lower it down. So, 2, if we were doing an RDL, is 2 seconds to come down. What was it? 0. Oh my God, what was your example? 2010. So 2 seconds on the way down, 0 to hold at the bottom, 1 second to come back up, and 0 at the top. So it's 2, 0, 1, 0. Does that make sense? So essentially, 2 seconds is the eccentric phase, which is usually when the muscle is under tension. So again, that might be 2 seconds down on a squat, whatever that like exercise might be. No pause at the bottom, 1 second to come back up to your starting position, and then 0 second at the top. Now, you might find there is a bit of an organic slight pause, but what I want you to think about is like Mississippi. So 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 0, 1 Mississippi, back up 0. And do you know what I mean? So there might be a slight pause. You will notice it when you see in my stories when I lift. There often is a little bit of a pause at the bottom, a little bit of a pause at the top. And then, for instance, if that tempo were to say 2210, it means there's a 2 second pause at that bottom of that lift. So if you're doing a squat, you would have to pause at the bottom for 2 seconds. 1 second to come back up, 2 seconds down, 2 second pause at the bottom. So you're increasing that time under tension. So as you go through the program, there might be a bit of playing around. I will usually try and write paused reps or quarter reps, or so it gives you a little bit of a clue as well. The video should also be me demonstrating with reasonable accuracy as well. So if you know there's a pause in it, the video should have a pause in it as well. So you've got a good idea. Some of them I cannot cannot find for the fucking life of me the original videos, and I did go through trying to add in some of the ones that said they weren't there. Um, and I found my hard drive because I think I took them off my phone because I didn't have enough storage on my old phone, and I can't find the cable to attach my hard drive. So I was like, fucking hell, I found half of the job here. So I'm just going to re-record some of them and probably record some new exercises as well because that's always fun. Does anybody else have, I feel like I spoke at a million miles an hour tonight, but we've still been 45 minutes. Does anybody else have any other questions? If you're time poor, is it better to reduce rest or reps? So this one's an interesting one. So I would say that's maybe exercise dependent. The smaller the muscle, usually you might not need as long to recover. But if you told me when I'm doing 100 kg RDLs, if you told me to reduce my rest, I would punch you in the fucking throat. It's not happening. It's just not happening because I am training within an inch of my life, and there is no way I would be able to reduce that rest. And most likely, even if it's meant to be a 2 minute rest, I'm going to sit there for 3, 4, 5 minutes because that's how long it might take me to recover genuinely from doing. And that is a highly like central nervous system taxing exercise. So it's using an enormous amount of muscle groups to do an exercise at that level. So in that instance, I would actually take a set away rather than the rest or the reps. I would actually just eliminate a set altogether. So I would beast myself. Let's say it was 3 sets, 4 sets, 5 sets. I would beast myself for the time that I've got available, and I would just get rid of a set or maybe 2 sets or whatever it might be. So that's probably what I would do if I was really time poor, just take away a set from maybe 2 or 3 exercises. But second to that, I would probably take away the reps. Third, I'd really struggle to take away the rest. However, if you're doing something like a lat raise, for instance, you're working a very small subsector of a muscle, you might think, you know what, I can go again after 20 seconds. But you might just find your last couple of reps are harder because you're not as fully recovered, but you might just be able to get through it quicker. But if you are finding the rest periods are too long, you need to go heavier. You're probably not training anywhere close to failure. And true failure is if I had a gun to your head, you physically would not be able to do one more rep. You would fail the entire rep, as in on the leg press or an RDL, you would drop the weights. You have nothing left in the tank, and that does not include if you're failing a rep due to your wrist strength, your grip strength going, you need to get straps or maybe try gloves as a bit of an intermediary. You probably will outgrow gloves as well, and then you would want straps. So that doesn't count. Your wrist strength, your grip strength failing first. And you can also do things like hanging leg raises, a bit like what I was doing this morning. If you see my stories, if you are in a gym, like you can work on, and you will naturally work on your grip strength as you go throughout this program. Like you are training to hold things. So you will gradually get stronger as you go. Like I think I can do like 90 kg deadlifts without any straps, without anything. But if you'd have said that to me 2 years ago, I would have had straps on at probably like 40, 50 kgs. So do you know what I mean? Like you do just get a lot stronger and your grip does get better. But yeah, I would definitely say reducing a set across like the exercises, then probably reps, and then rest would be the last thing to go depending on the muscle groups. So, not a directly straightforward answer, sorry. Right, any more questions? Oh, final thing, form checks. Send them through as often as you need to. Like, there is no limitation on this for any single woman at any level in the program doing any single exercise. You will find as you go through some of the exercises get a bit more complex, get a bit more different. If I'm hearing in check-ins, I've got a tweak, I've got a niggle, I've got a slight this, that, I'm going to be requesting a form check first and foremost. So please, for the love of God, just send them through. Nobody gives a fuck if you're filming yourselves, unless your gym specifically doesn't require it. My advice to that would be show me at home with some baked beans in your hands. I can still do a full form analysis on anyone, even if you're not in the environment. Okay, I'm not going to be able to do that on a leg press. You're not going to be able to recreate that from home. 9 times out of 10, that's not an exercise that somebody's usually asking for form checks on. But please do just send them through. That is a part of the program. You all have access to that. So just make the most of it, is my genuine advice. If there's anything, even if it is a tempo question, am I doing this to the right tempo? Film it, let us see for ourselves, and we'll be able to guide you on that. Um, Right. Have an incredible rest of the week. Again, if you are new, if we feel like you might need a bit of additional support, we are going to be checking in. We do our midweek stalky stalk on a Wednesday, just for the people that we really feel like need it at the right points in time. If you do feel like you need one, please message, do you know what I mean? And we will give it a quick once over and just check that we're along the right lines. But if not, hard check-ins on Friday, Thursday, all day, right through to 9 a.m. on Friday, uncompromisable. Again, you can check in late, but you will waive the right to your feedback for the upcoming week. So we obviously don't want to be doing that. We want to be hitting deadlines. We want the discipline to actually do what we should be doing. So absolutely crush it, ladies. I will see some of you guys on check-ins or on Wednesday. Mwah. Have a lovely week. Bye.